Welcome to How You Livin', a transformative podcast featuring best-selling author, inspirational speaker, and minister, Dr. Rick Rigsby. And now, Dr. Rick.
Hello, friends. Thank you so much for joining us. In this particular episode, I would like to discuss a very common competitive edge that successful people say produces some rather uncommon results. You won't believe what some of the richest people in the world consider to be their X factor, their competitive edge. I'll reveal it in just a few moments. But first of all, here's a definition of competitive edge. It's the advantage that a person or an organization may have over a competitor. It's what gives that organization or person a distinctive quality that sets them apart from the rest. It's what an organization or individual is known for, from the technological genius of the Silicon Valley startups to the fierce golfer who goes for the jugular and then wears the red shirt on Sundays. You talk about brand image. You talk about fierce. You talk about a competitive edge. Many companies, including Nordstrom and Chick-fil-A as examples, have pushed the envelope from customer service to customer excellence. As a matter of fact, that customer excellence has become their competitive edge. Other companies, such as Apple and Netflix, they leverage new technologies to gain a competitive advantage. It's all about creating a niche that maximizes customer engagement while disrupting the current landscape. A classic example would be Amazon, with range and price and convenience at the core of its competitive advantage. I remember growing up in the 1960s. I remember when banks were only open Monday through Friday, and they closed at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Good luck if you needed cash after hours. There were no ATM machines. Stores would close early on Saturdays and close completely on Sundays. And it would take several days to get pictures back from the drugstore. We submitted the film, and you had to wait until the film was developed. And if you wanted to order something from a catalog, good luck. Weeks, sometimes even months. Friends, never in a million years would I have ever thought that I could order an item in the morning, have it delivered to my doorstep that same afternoon, and have everything ordered on my smartphone. Oh, baby. According to experts, Amazon maintains its sustainable competitive advantage by employing a couple of strategies that produce high volume, low prices, and fast delivery. And I love the ingenuity. The ingenuity is something that characterizes the United States. For example, throughout the history of this country, the titans of industry have sought to develop a competitive advantage that would disrupt the status quo with profitable, affordable products and services. I love learning about these companies through reading books and articles and blogs and posts, even from watching documentaries on the History Channel. Among my favorite shows, Cars That Made America and The Food That Built America. From Henry Ford and the Dodge brothers to that great chocolate manufacturer Milton Hershey, all the way to Clarence Birdseye, the father of the frozen food industry. These unstoppable pioneers, fueled by the hope of striking it big and defining their competitive edge, would not only disrupt existing conditions, but they actually changed the way Americans lived. Whatever the endeavor, we're all looking for that edge, that spark. We're all searching for that way to disrupt, to break through to the next level. I think about basketball great Michael Jordan, whose competitive edge was stoked by the words and actions of other people. Jordan said, quote, "Those actions and comments put logs on my fire. It kept me fired up all through my career." Here's one example. Like the time his university coach at North Carolina, Coach Dean Smith, refused to include Jordan on the cover of a Sports Illustrated front page with all the other starters. Jordan says he understands now. He understands that the move could not include a freshman. But at the time, the coach's decision put a log on his fire. Or how about Hollywood movie star and global icon Lucille Ball? Lucy's competitive edge was born early in her life. You see, Lucy wanted to be an actress. Her mother sent her to school to study acting. And it was during that time that the teachers told Lucy's mother that she was wasting her money, that Lucy, quote, lacked the talent to be an actor, end quote. Lucille Ball not only became an actress, she was a pioneer in the television and film industry, co-starring with her husband, Desi Arnaz, in the popular series I Love Lucy. As an actress, producer, and businesswoman, Ball continuously broke barriers for women. She received countless awards over her life, 2 stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and eventually induction into the Television Hall of Fame. In fact, Lucy and Ricky founded Desilu Productions, an American television production company that not only produced their show, but countless other shows like Mission Impossible and Star Trek. All this from a woman told she had no talent for acting. Lucy took those words and built an empire. Now that is competitive advantage. I began this podcast by saying that I wanted to discuss a very common competitive edge that successful people say produces some rather uncommon results. Friends, what if I were to tell you that 2 of the wealthiest people in the world cite the common practice of reading as the one thing that gives them their competitive advantage? I read the most fascinating article about this in the CNBC financial blog, Make It. I highly recommend you look up this article. It's by Ali Montag. It's amazing just to look at, just to read, just to ponder, just to consider for a moment the impact of reading. Now, we've had a podcast episode where we've talked about reading, but I had to share this with you folks. I'm talking about 2 billionaires who say reading gives them their competitive edge. Not just any 2 billionaires. How about Mark Cuban? How about Warren Buffett? Why don't you listen for just a moment longer? As you know, Cuban is the charismatic TV personality and media mogul, also the owner of the Dallas Mavericks. Net worth, $5 billion. According to Cuban, he reads more than 3 hours most days. Listen to what he said in this article. Most people, I'm quoting here, most people won't put in the time to get a knowledgeable advantage. I feel like if I put in enough time consuming all the information available, I can get an advantage in any technology business, end quote. Both Mark Cuban and Warren Buffett say that reading is the only habit, or I should say that reading is the one habit that is the key to success. That reading gives them their competitive advantage. And as they say, you don't have to be a billionaire to read. I'm so inspired by this. I'm also inspired by Warren Buffett. I love his simple life. He's the 5th richest person in the world. Estimated value, $109 billion. And yet he drives himself to work in cars that are very regular and very average. He's lived in the same house that he bought in 1958 for $31,000. To be exact, $31,500. He's lived there for 65 years. He determines what he wants to order for breakfast depending on the market. I love this. If the market is up, the billionaire splurges. He'll splurge on a bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit sandwich for $3.89. If the market is down, he only spends $3.19 for a sausage, egg, and cheese sandwich, and then washes it down with a Coke. I also read someplace that Buffett sometimes selects his fast food breakfast based on the change in his cup holder. One thing fellow billionaire Bill Gates found surprising about Buffett was Buffett's diet philosophy. Buffett eats hamburgers and ice cream and soft drinks, and here's a man in his 90s eating like this. And he explained his philosophy during an interview a few years back with Fortune magazine. Buffett said, quote, I checked the actuary tables, and the lowest death rate is among 6-year-olds. So I decided to eat like a 6-year-old. It's the safest course I can take, end quote. Buffett said on numerous occasions, what separates successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything. And saying no, Buffett says, gives him plenty of time to read. Listen to this. According to Buffett, quote, I probably spend 5 or 6 hours every day reading. I like to sit down and read, and then I like to think. I spend a lot of time thinking. You might think it's unproductive, but I find it enjoyable to think about business or investment problems, end quote. According to the article, Buffett reads 6 newspapers a day: the Wall Street Journal, Financial Times, the New York Times, USA Today, the American Banker, and the Omaha World Herald. On one occasion, Buffett gave the following advice to Columbia University students taking an investment course. While reaching toward a stack of manuals and papers, Buffett said, quote, read 500 pages like this every day. That's how knowledge works. It builds up like compound interest. Now, all of you can do it, but I guarantee not many of you will, end quote. Both Mark Cuban and Warren Buffett, a couple of very wealthy people, are telling us, all of us who will listen, that anyone can gain a competitive advantage if they're willing to sacrifice, put in the time, and read. Go figure. Practicing a very common thing, according to these 2 billionaires, can lead to some very uncommon results. Why don't you think about that for a few days? That's going to do it for this episode. Until we meet again, this is Dr. Rick, asking the most important question I can ask. How you living?
Are you ready to make an impact in your world right now? Do you want to stop existing and start living your best life right now? Dr. Rick wants to give you the first chapter of his best-selling book, Lessons from a Third Grade Dropout, absolutely free. Just go to www.rickrigsby.com/free gift to get the print or audiobook right now.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.